An angry cigarette-smoking man rampages through New Mexico looking for the digital tape. Mulder is feared dead, and Scully faces termination.
Mulder's story takes a spiritual turn, while Scully carries the episode and faces the dangers of their situation head-on.
This is not happening.
There is an ancient Indian saying that something lives only as long as the last person who remembers it. My people have come to trust memory over history. Memory, like fire, is radiant and immutable. While history serves only those who seek to control it, those who would douse the flame of memory in order to put out the dangerous fire of truth. Beware these men, for they are dangerous themselves and unwise. Their false history is written in the blood of those who might remember and of those who seek the truth.
No! Get out! Get out! Come on! On your knees. Hands behind your head.
I want to know where Mulder is.
I don't know.
His car's parked outside. He was here. I want Mulder and I want those files.
You'll find nothing here.
Season 3. Wow.
We're here, baby. Somebody scream.
Yeah.
It's a rave.
Let me hear you scream. Here we are in Season 3. That maybe is the worst intro, so I'll start again.
You know what? That's fine.
Here we are, starting Season 3 on This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Have you missed us? Have we left a hole in your hearts by not speaking into your ears? Mike, have you missed doing this?
I have. It has been a little bit, Andrew, and I missed your voice, although you have been in my ears for the last 4 hours because I've been editing. So, editing future episodes or past episodes.
Future past. Episodes of a future past. This is not happening. Another X-Files. Yeah, you go. Well,
we know.
Here we are back at the start of Season 3, which is kind of the end of Season 2, because this is a three-parter.
Absolutely.
It's and I think we're going to be discussing at the end of this which was the best episode of the three-parter. I already have my answer.
That's very possible. I think I do too.
I'm sure you do. But this one, The Blessing Way, the season premiere of Season 3, directed by R.W. Goodwin, written by none other than Chris Carter. Where were you September 22nd, 1995?
I was starting 5th grade.
So X-Files maybe not top of mind for you?
Oh, it was up there. I just, I was a little tyke, starting 5th grade, new school. Or no. Our schools were divided into 3 grades, so it would be 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So I was top dog.
Doesn't care about your grade school.
Whatever. I know. I'm just. That's where I was, Andrew. I was starting
the question.
school. Yes.
Very good. Well, on September 22nd, 1995 was, of course, this premiere. Fans eagerly awaiting to know what happened to Fox Mulder. Did he survive? Well, guess what? David Duchovny did not go and get another job. I'm sure Variety magazine was covering the fact that he was already shooting Season 3, so I bet you the audience was not exactly tricked out when they thought maybe, was he going to be dead? Was they going to be moving on with somebody else? Is it now the Dana Scully show? What is going on? So the question...
Well, they did do a good job at giving her the spotlight in this episode.
For a big part of it, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is not, does he survive? It's how does he survive? And that is just as good an episode. So.
Absolutely.
Without any further ado, shall we begin the ritual, the blessing way? Shall we get into the discussion of this episode?
I think so.
All right. Well, we open right where we left off in Season 2 with a rail car buried in the New Mexico desert containing the bodies of dead aliens and Mulder trapped inside and burning. The camera lingers on the fire erupting like a geyser from the opening as the voice of Albert Holstein narrates on the nature of fire. The upshot of Albert's monologue is that it's dangerous to play with fire, and those who seek to control the truth are going to get burned. So we cut to the soldiers returning. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That was me. We cut to the soldiers returning to the reservation, barging into Albert's home, and inflicting violence onto those inside. The cigarette-smoking man enters with a beaten-up Eric, barking to know where Mulder is, where the files are, which leads to more butt-stroking.
You know, this is just evil stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
These guys aren't doing anything wrong. But I will say it is the continuation of CSM being very animated. And I really enjoy it. It is a change of pace for William B. Davis, and it's exciting to see. So much evil they are doing, but I do enjoy his attitude in this scene.
Oh,
because it's good for his character.
He gets a lot of variety in this episode. Like, he really gets to explore the character in a way. Like, he plays it so cool with the syndicate, and then when he is really stressed out, it comes out. Like, he knows that he's gotta solve this shit.
These 3 episodes, starting at the end of season 2 into the next episode, Paperclip, he has got the pressure on him, and we see him start to buckle.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting.
But he can bend like the rest of them. He can bend. He's a yoga master.
Yeah.
Well, Scully pulls up, also looking for Mulder. She enters the home, and they confirm that soldiers are no good, and that they were there looking for Mulder. Scully tears back to the site of the rail car, where the fire has simmered down to a mere smoking, and cries out for Mulder, and we have a vista of the New Mexico desert. Cut to credit.
Mulder! This is actually a preview of season 8, where she spends the most time calling for Mulder in the second episode of the premiere. Into the void. She's screaming for Mulder. This is a preview of that.
Well, this is not that episode.
It is
its own episode. I love the scene of the house being invaded by the soldiers. Mostly because in sort of the aftermath, when we have Scully come in and you have the camera pan over to see the devastation that has been wrought by the soldiers, and there's like 2 cups turned over on the table and the teapots on its side. And it's like, I have this image of the soldier like carefully taking them and like putting them on their side and going, "Bleh." It's
not smashed.
It's not smashed.
It's askew.
We can't break this guy's stuff. Come on.
Look, we can break his face, not his teacup.
That's right. That's Edgewood. That's good stuff. You don't break that.
You don't break that. God damn it. At least give this guy his tea.
The tea must flow. Okay.
I mean, we are gentlemen here. Okay. There's a code.
Yeah. You don't mess with tea. You can do corporal punishment, but you don't mess with a man's tea.
Yeah. Come on. You can only go so far.
Well, I think we've gone far enough on that.
We have gone.
Later that night, Scully is driving when a helicopter catches up to her and forces her to stop her car. She's forced out of the car by our bad guy soldiers who disarm her, take the DOD files. When she can't produce the original copy, the DAT tape, the soldiers get back into their helicopter and fly away. And kudos to the pilot. Like, that's a stunt pilot job, because that thing's coming in on the side. I don't know if you saw this. It's flying sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's a killer move.
That is a killer move, yeah.
I always am intrigued by helicopter stunt work and the fact that they actually chased down a car that was moving and landed in front of it. It may seem like a small thing, but that is very tricky and talented, and stuff like that always brings to mind for me Terminator 2, where they actually hired a stuntman to fly under an overpass. It's so exciting and so exhilarating to just think of what went into that and what the pilot must have been thinking. But this was a very cool scene.
Now, the lead soldier who actually gets some lines in this, do we ever see him again? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I was asking myself that question, but I chose not to look it up. I was like, I really don't think I've seen this face before or again. I have a feeling. So,
yeah. Well, that's the end of that scene. We now go to FBI HQ, where Scully's in a meeting.
It is the recommendation of the Office of Professional Conduct that Special Agent Dana Scully be given a mandatory leave of absence until the full detail of her misconduct can be calculated. This summary action is justified under the OPC Articles of Review, and Agent Scully will complete her suspension of duty without pay or benefits due to the nature of her insubordination and the direct disobedience of her superior agents. We will have to ask that you check your weapon and your badge before you leave the building, Agent Scully.
We'd also ask that you make yourself available to answer further questions in our investigation into Agent Mulder's whereabouts.
I've told you everything I know. To the best of my knowledge, Agent Mulder is dead.
Don't think this hasn't been difficult for everyone. Agent Scully.
Who are these people?
These people are doing their job.
What they're doing is putting an official stamp on the perpetuation of a lie.
These people have a protocol to follow, which is something you and Agent Mulder did not do.
What about the people who are poisoning Agent Mulder's water? Whose protocol was that?
The investigation...
The investigation will be an exercise. The men who killed Agent Mulder, the people who killed his father, they aren't meant to be found.
We will find them.
With all due respect, sir, I think you overestimate your position in the chain of command.
I will say the noticeable absence from this group of higher ups is Chris Carter.
Yeah, why is
he was
not
only
in this meeting?
he was only there for the one scene.
Maybe his hair dye job had faded out, and he didn't want to do it again. She caps off the scene with one of the best quips. Skinner is overestimating his position in the chain of command.
Burn.
Yeah.
Burned. It is like burn without just outright burning your boss. That's saying it without saying it, that he thinks he has more power than he actually does. And that's harsh.
You burned.
But earned. You know, she's in a very stressful situation. It's her job that's on the line. And she's not able to help and get answers the way she wants to.
And you got to wonder what angle Skinner is playing here, because he does not jump to her defense. He's quite willing to let her be hung out, or at least go along with her being hung out for a long time before he's going to show his true colors.
Take some action.
Well, back to her. She's leaving and goes down to Mulder's office. She's looking for where he has hidden the DAC tape, only to find it has been removed, its case left empty. Of course, we know later on that Skinner has the tape. So a lot of his actions, I think it's worth looking at from the point of view of Skinner already has the tape. So what is he really doing here?
He's taking some action on his own. I think what he's doing, if we have to answer this question right now, it's...
Well, apparently we do. Go ahead.
He's letting the bureaucracy take its place because he can't stop the immediate, okay, we're putting you on suspension right now. We have to investigate this. He can't really stop that.
Yeah.
So he is in that room with all the higher ups playing his job and doing his role, where he's already taken steps to help the agents if he can. You know, he doesn't know what he's getting himself into, but he knows the DAT tape is there and he has it in his possession now. So,
a little bargaining chip.
Yep.
We move to a new scene, and one we'll return to many times over the next few seasons. The New York headquarters of the Syndicate, the consortium.
Can we get some fanfare? This is the introduction.
I hope you put in an appropriate sound effect. Vuvuzelas, maybe?
So, yeah, this is it.
They're going to return
here
to the
it is. Yeah, this is the official, this is the choice, I should say, that they have made finally. They've given the mythology, the dark side of the mythology, a face now, several faces, and it is being run by several men of older, midlife to older age, and they have a gathering place, which is a scene, like you said, we'll come back to a lot over the years. But this is momentous for the show because they have finally kind of shown us what's happening and who is in charge and how this whole thing works. So,
and they don't need to go here. I mean, it's a choice they decide to make is to let the audience in on our antagonists, to sort of shine some light on who these people are. I love the fact that we do get to see it because the position it puts the cigarette smoking man in when, Krychek makes his call later on, it's so good. It's a wonderful scene. But the point of having them here, is to give us some new bad guys. So cool, great to have it. But from a plot point, you really don't need to have it. This episode functions just fine without it.
Oh, for sure. I will say, since we're here, this is the introduction of John Neville, extraordinary stage actor, a true thespian, Andrew.
A true thespian.
He is the well-manicured man, and this is also the introduction of Don Williams, who is the first elder, the guy with the smoky voice. Man. He is, but I guess they call him the first elder, and I'll just refer to him as Pudgy.
As Mr. Pudgy. Well, we got another guy. We got cigar smoking man, and we got I don't know what the other guy is.
Stan Walsh. Yep, Stan Walsh is a technically he's the second elder, whatever that means. He's definitely a number 2 because he is not important to the show, but he does make a series of appearances this season.
Well, they're all hanging out in this smoke-filled, red-draped, wingback chaired room, wherever it is.
Yeah, it's just like a wine club.
Yeah.
I expect to see Fraser Crane in the background.
There's a walk-in humidor on the other side somewhere.
Excellent.
Well, inside, they are recounting what's happened. CSM notes that the files have been recovered, the FBI will be dealt with internally, and Mulder is dead. So, mission accomplished, right? There's nothing to worry about here, except we know that the files have
all of that is wrong.
That's right. He is a lying son of a bitch.
And we get a taste of that in Anasazi, where he lies over the phone that it's already been handled, and now this is an extension of that. He is consistently lying to these people.
Yeah,
his comrades, his colleagues, who, for some reason, I guess rightfully so, they question his actions all the time, and he is trying to save face as best he can whenever he's talking to these people, which puts him in a very interesting light, considering the first 2 seasons he was the man, right?
Yeah, and now he's now to somebody,
answering to people and having to choose and make decisions that are, as we talked earlier, making him stressed out. He's having to do things and get away with things or try new things that are really uncomfortable for him because things are not going his way.
What I find interesting about them choosing to use the syndicate or introduce them to us here is we get a little bit of their interior dynamic, and you get the sense that they're all power brokers. They all have an agenda to play, and that we know the cigarette smoking man's more than anybody else's. So I kind of wish we had a little bit more of a vantage point. I mean, I guess we will get it later. I want it all right now. But you know what I mean? Like, we see these interrelationships between them, and that none of this is healthy. And the series is not the Syndicate show, obviously. We're getting a taste of them, but it would be interesting to see the games that they play, because they are at the top of their game.
Absolutely. The relationship between these people is almost like they're begrudgingly working together.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to say it's that bad. They definitely work together, and they have a common goal insofar as the alien stuff goes. But
self-preservation, I'd say.
Yeah, they all have their own motives, but we never really get to them, outside of CSM.
Yeah. Well, the first elder suggests that everything's back to normal and everybody can get back to work. So I guess their problem solved, right?
All done.
Yep.
Job well done. Good job, folks.
It's night at the Scully household, and we open up the door on the Mrs. Scully's house. Dana has arrived to visit with her mother. She's visibly upset. She's walked all the way to her mother's house in uncomfortable shoes.
Hold me.
Yeah, they sure hug. Obviously, Scully she's affected here. She's lost her partner. She's on the precipice of losing her job. She's in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you go back home to mom when you need to regroup.
Yeah.
Well, we cut now to the reservation for another Albert monologue. We're going to have a few of these in this episode. Some boys on the reservation mention that there are buzzards flying over the scene of the rail car, which Albert knows is a sign that somebody is dead or near death. And sure enough, the Indian search party is out in full force. Albert recounts that as a young man, he also found an alien body at the quarry in a hole. And it's in this hole that they find Mulder, and after the commercial, they dig him out. They also reveal an alien body, which has absolutely no significance to the plot.
That's all right.
I mean, it's a cool little scene, but
it's a cool little scene.
It doesn't come back.
It doesn't, but I think they just... it's where Mulder is, and that's where all the bodies are, so they had to show it.
Except, Mike,
now,
I put it to you.
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
It's inferred that there is a secret hole in the rail car and that Mulder was able to escape to avoid being burned to a crisp. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
If
I would say a door, because most cars have 2 doors.
Fair enough. Yeah. And somehow there's a crack in the rocks and he's able to scooch his way up and get out and escape being burned. And there's an alien body there.
Here it comes.
In the tunnel with Mulder. So couldn't
he drug it with him?
Could he drug it with him? Yeah. Okay.
I must get out, but I need to have this body.
I would love to have this evidence. I would just suggest if it's okay, that solves that question for me, if that is in fact the case. But if it was in fact that he gets there and there's an alien body, that means that the hole was there when the aliens are getting gassed, and could they not have found their way out?
Yeah, I don't have any options. Maybe they're just frantic because they're about to be murdered and they didn't see the hole. All right.
Okay. I buy that. Anyway,
there's 30 of them and it's chaos down there in that car.
They don't have enough thumbs or something to get around the hole and get up. Yeah. Well, one of them did, but he didn't have enough thumbs to get through that final rock and he died of starvation.
Right.
Bad news. Well, there we go. Solved it. Albert and the Indians proceed to take Mulder back to the reservation to a hut called a hogan. They begin a ceremonial ritual that will summon the holy people who can save Mulder's life. I'm sorry, would you like to add something to this?
No, I was just asking. I was going to wonder why it's not red and yellow.
Oh.
Because, like Hulk. I'm just
like
kidding.
Hulk
it was lame. It just popped in there.
I hope you put a punchline there, like a rim shot.
Are you?
I got to wonder about this bit here. I will say, apparently they got a bit of flack with Anasazi from Navajo scholars who pointed out some inaccuracies. So Chris Carter actually spent time with the Navajo to accurately take down how the rituals work and what the beliefs are and what they would look like. So to his credit, he is trying to make it look authentic. So I'm willing to believe that all of this lines up with some loosely maybe with the mythology of the Navajo legends.
Well, and I do think that they try, even before they get flack, to do it justice. And even in Shapes in season 1, we talked about that there's a respect that I think is being portrayed. I am ignorant to all the customs of these people, but it looks to me like they're trying to be respectful of their customs and their traditions. And the fact that he did go down there and spend time with them after getting a little bit of bad news or pushback, it just shows that it was important to him. And I think that's a good thing. So
Absolutely.
It's only good for the show.
I mean, much better than like, it's a TV show. People don't care.
Right.
The ratings tell us we're on track. So as another brief aside, it's 1995. It doesn't occur to these guys to bring Mulder to a hospital?
Well, no, because the government's after him, so they want to make sure he's safe.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that, actually. That's not a bad take. I'm okay with that.
Seriously, yeah. Come on, Andrew, you got to pay attention.
I think I paid too much attention is the problem.
That's all right.
But I Googled it. The nearest hospital, and I kid you not on this name.
You Googled it?
Yeah, Tuba City.
Okay. Tuba City.
Do you know what their number one industry there is?
Tuba manufacturing.
No, I don't know. But I was hoping that you would say that, actually. So I win.
Yeah, there you go.
Over in Scully's apartment, she's having a hard time getting to sleep when her doorbell rings, almost insistently. It's a drunken frohickey who has learned of Mulder's fate and has gotten pretty drunk. The two share some coffee and one assumes some Mulder stories before Scully reveals she's probably going to be let go. Frohickey produces an article documenting the killing of Kenneth Suna, a.k.a. The Thinker.
The Thinker.
The guy who got them into this whole mess. Scully realizes that Suna was killed the day after Mulder's father, and also realizes that there may be a way to link the two deaths and thus exonerate Mulder. Look at that. He's going to fix this whole plot point that nobody cares about.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the plot point does matter up until it doesn't. I think I think it's a cool way to put the wheels in motion to get her mind back on a case or
yeah, it keeps her in the
to kind of give her keeps her motivated to do something. You know, she did look relatively out of options and out of ideas.
Yeah, she's been kicked to the curb.
Yeah. So I think this, while it has no real bearing on the episode, it does give her agency to continue
to be involved.
Yeah.
Okay, I buy that. Well, we return to the ritual at the Navajo Nation, where Albert has stripped down to a loincloth and created an amazing sand painting, which has some pretty extraterrestrial overtones. Mulder is covered with cedar branches and a fire burns in a pit. A drum is beaten, and Albert begins to chant. The Hogan fades away, and we're left in a field of stars, where Mulder floats in his bed of cedar. Albert tells us that if there is a desire to live within the recipient of this ceremony, the holy people will be merciful, and the person will be healed. Mulder begins to have visions. The first is of Deep Throat, who steps forward from the specters of the holy people to impart a sagely monologue.
I was first struck by the absence of time, having depended on it so completely as a measure of myself and my life. Moving backwards into the perpetual night that consumes purpose, deed, all passion, will. I come to you, old friend, with the dull clarity of the dead, not to beckon you, but to feel the fire and intensity that still live in you. And the heavy weight of your burdens, which I had once borne. There is truth here, old friend, if that's all you seek. But there's no justice or judgment without which truth is a vast, dead hollow. Go back. Do not look into the abyss, or let the abyss look into you. Awaken the sleep of reason and fight the monsters within and without.
Now, it's always nice to see Jerry Harden.
Oh, yeah.
I know you probably got a little bit of an erection when he walked on the stage there.
Absolutely.
And he does
I'm not afraid to admit it.
He does give a solid turn as a character we forgot we loved. Attempting to rekindle the fire within Mulder to pursue the truth. And moreover, that there is truth to be found, but importantly, no justice. And I thought that was an interesting take, especially from that character.
Well, it just goes to show you that maybe, Andrew, he's not as conniving as you portray him to be.
I thought he was entirely conniving. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, the eternal divide. Was Deep Throat a good guy or a bad guy? We know where we stand.
Yes. It was great to see him again.
Indeed. He got a little bit of X-Files money. Always nice. And you know, the lead... one of the designers on this show said that actually this was the hardest visual effects shot they had done in the show up till now. And today, doing this kind of compositing is like 5 minutes on a computer. You know, you just key out whatever and you pop it in and it's fine. But I can see, you know, it's not a great composite job. You can see over Mulder's profile. It's kind of a weird cutout, but for the time, it's pretty amazing to see this on TV as opposed to in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the camera coming down and Mulder looking like he's floating, and then in comes Deep Throat against the backdrop of those people in black. The thing that comes to my mind is One Breath when they do that thing with Scully's hospital bed. The camera kind of comes down and you see her feet and you think there's different scenery around her, and then it fades into the hospital, and then a nurse comes and interacts with nothing, but it looks like she's actually interacting with Scully. So that's kind of cool. Same idea, very, very well done, and they use these things to their advantage, I would say. I don't think they overused them.
It's a wedding dress of a scene, I think. It really is about putting it in a different space, which, as you say, to their credit, it's visually very cool. Well, after this, we have a cutscene of the aliens in the rail car being gassed with hydrogen cyanide. And as they flee deeper into the car, they find no escape. So here is where you apologized and said I was right. Just thought I would highlight so you didn't forget.
I know that they didn't escape. I'm willing to bet their scramble, the chaos and the smoke prevented them from finding the door.
Yeah. They are.
And they're short. Maybe they couldn't reach the handle.
Maybe it's true. Maybe it was. Well, one of them did. That's all I'm going to say about that.
One of them did. No, I still believe he was drug out of there by Mulder.
I'm taking the body with me.
I need one.
Well, Mulder then has a
Personal
vision of his father, who laments of the lies that he told his son.
Hello, son. I did not dare hope to see you so soon, nor ever again hope to broker fate with a life to which I gave life. The lies I told you were a pox and poison to my soul, and now you are here because of them. Lies I thought might bury forever a truth I could not live with. I stand here ashamed of the choices I made so long ago, when you were just a boy. You are the memory, Fox. It lives in you. If you were to die now, the truth will die, and only the lies survive us.
My sister. Is she here?
No. The thing that would destroy me, the truth I felt you must never learn, is the truth you will find if you are to go forward.
Theological / psychological question for you at this point.
Uh-oh.
Are these spectral visitations in your mind, or are they hallucinations of a man on the brink of death?
I mean, a little column A, a little column B.
Oh,
it's hard to say. I think I can't say that the show wants us to go one way or the other. I think it's spoken as if it is spectral.
It's the divine. It's coming into
yeah. They're coming. They're sending these messages to him, and I can believe that, and that it works for me either way, because either way, Mulder is brought back from it with a new resolve, I guess.
Yep.
I would say they're pushing us to believe it's actuality, but
Well,
I would not have a hard time believing this is like a fever dream, because they even mention him having his fevers, and being kind of delirious. So I think that's very possible.
My takeaway is, and maybe it's the pragmatist in me, I think it's hallucination. I mean, it's dressed up so nicely. Like the VFX are so good that I think they want us to believe that these are visitations from beyond the grave. They want us to lean into the ritual and the ceremony and see it as legitimate. But I think you're right. I think they give you, as you say, a little column A, a little column B. Like they are really allowing you to read in what you think it is going to be, because the characters themselves, Deep Throat, Mulder's father, they don't offer any new information.
No.
They just offer an imperative that he's sort of got to get back on the horse, essentially, is all they're saying.
Right.
So,
and it could just be his subconscious talking to him, his
wants to
overwhelming, exactly. His overwhelming determination as a character trait. That's who Mulder is. He's nothing if not determined. And then the one question he asks is about his sister, and he gets the answer that he wants, which is, no, she's not here, which means, no, she's not dead.
Yep.
So that could very well be a hallucination if you think about it that way.
Yep. Back at the FBI, it's a new day. Scully is coming in for an interview with Skinner, though she's coming through the front door alongside a tour group.
Ernie Fort. This is Ernie Fort. He plays a security guard, and he will make a second and final appearance as the same guard in Pusher.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I would likely say he loses his job after Pusher because he's the one who lets him in.
Probably.
Nothing like letting a serial killer in.
You were so cute to give us this guy. I love it. I didn't even get through the scene. You're like, that's Ernie Ford.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to blow past it.
I wasn't.
Fair enough.
Okay, so she's coming in alongside a tour group, and he gives them a little bit, oh, they're making you come through the front door. Ernie Fort does. As she passes through a metal detector, she sets it off despite having no metal on her person. Huh, that's weird.
Dun, dun.
At Skinner's office, she reveals what she has discovered about the death of Kenneth Suna and advises Skinner to investigate. He shuts her down, not lightly, reminding her of her previous quip about his position as assistant director. She has a little bit of a mea culpa moment. He brings up the notion of the digital tape, that a search warrant for her apartment has been issued to find it, but she has no knowledge where it is. A wounded Scully is dismissed, and after she leaves, the cigarette-smoking man enters, lamenting that Scully doesn't know where the tape is. Well, that's unfortunate for everyone. Another of the best lines of the show.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of Skinner's rejoinder?
Oh.
Getting back at Scully.
I think I liked it as a moment. He's got an ego. Like, come on, he's not just sliced bread. He's going to give as good as he gets.
He is reasserting his position with her. And, and not in a dick way. I don't think he's being mean. I think he's like, you know what? That wasn't cool earlier, and I didn't appreciate it.
At the same time, like, you can hardly blame her for lashing out. Like, she's
not at all.
Lost her partner. She's being disciplined. It's like she's got nothing to lose here. So,
right.
I don't know. I feel like he's a little bit too much of a hard ass, although I suspect he knows he's being surveilled. So he's got a role to play here. And that's the hard thing about being Skinner in this episode, is that he has to look a certain way in order to assure the cigarette smoking man that he is cooperating, because he knows what's at stake.
Yeah. And he himself is getting pushed to the edge. And it is quite the scene when that comes to a head in the next episode.
Scully's leaving the building. She has an idea to go through the metal detector again. And again, she sets it off, apparently for no reason. Eddie Fort, our security guard, famous Eddie Fort.
Ernie, the famous Ernie Fort.
Famous Ernie Fort goes over her with the detector wand, and something in her neck sets it off. What the? Later on, Scully is visiting a doctor who confirms with an x-ray that there's a small piece of metal in her neck. They assume it's some wound she suffered in the line of duty, but she has no memory of it. The doctor removes it.
Who is it, Andrew?
The doctor?
Yeah.
That's Eddie Fort.
No.
Famous Eddie Fort.
Oh, man.
All right, who is he? Do we ever see him again, Mike?
This, Andrew, is Forbes Angus.
Wait, the famous Forbes Angus?
The famous Forbes Angus. And we will see him, and we actually did, in Bad Blood as the funeral director. And he has generally one episode per season the first 5 years.
Okay, interesting. Well, back at the reservation, the ritual has been completed over these past 3 days, and Mulder has recovered. He looks worse for wear, he's weak, and he doesn't yet speak of his experiences, but Albert senses within him a rebirth. New Mulder. Mulder 3.0?
Yeah, because 2.0 was
last
Little
season.
Green Men.
Yeah. Scully's had the piece of metal removed from her neck and heard the doctor look at it through a microscope. It's some kind of computer chip, and it only intensifies the mystery of what it is and what the hell it was doing in her neck. So how would you react, Mike, if you happen to have a random computer chip taken out of your neck?
I got to tell you, that is concerning.
That is a little concerning.
I don't know. Her initial reaction is frustration because she doesn't know how it got there.
Yeah.
But she never mentions her abduction.
No.
So it's like, really, Scully, come on.
Put 2 and 2 together already.
Come on.
I mean, I think that she's got a tailor-made answer for where to take this thing for answers, and that is the lone gunman. because they can do friggin' anything. They'll show up in this trio of episodes, but apparently they weren't contractually obligated to show up in this one. But what a perfect turn to bring them in is for her to like take the chip to them. I don't know why they needed to bring in Melissa now so that we can get a little bit closer and then feel bad when she dies. But anyway, I just think that there was an opportunity.
Spoiler alert.
Mike, I hate to break it to you, but this episode is bringing 30 years old. People have seen it.
Oh, darn. Well, I haven't, sir.
I'm sorry to spoil it for you then. Well, later on, Scully is talking with her sister Melissa at Melissa's place, relating recent events and presumably capping it off with, hey, there was this chip that was removed from my neck. Crazy thing. And that freaks out Melissa justifiably. She convinces Dana she needs to explore what happened to her during her abduction. Melissa has connected the dots, and she recommends good old regression hypnosis. And after some arm twisting, Dana eventually agrees, ending up at the office of Dr. Pomerantz.
Well, it only did good things for Mulder, so why not?
Right. I don't know why Dana is being so resistant.
This, Andrew, is Alf Humphreys.
Alf
He
Humphreys.
plays
I've heard
the
that name
doctor,
before.
and we have seen him in Space and Detour. So officially, Andrew, I would like you to stand up out of respect. Let's give him a send-off. We will not see him again.
Oh, no, this is the end of Alf Humphreys?
This is the end of Alf Humphreys in the X-Files.
You know what he reminded me of when I saw him? The other scientist in Soft Light, the guy who gets shot into, slumps over onto his computer.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously not him. Different guy.
No.
Okay. We go into the regression hypnosis. We've seen this trope before. A gentle scene of guided relaxation with Scully and Dr. Pomerantz. And Scully sheds absolutely no light at all on the events of her abduction. It's a very waffly scene. At the end, it's too much. There's some accidental touching. She leaves, shaken and stirred.
I don't know, man.
Did you buy anything about this scene? This is not my favorite.
I mean, it's not
terrible.
bad.
It's
just like we as the audience knew, right? Right when the computer chip comes out of her neck, we're like, oh man, fucking Dwayne Barry's little excursion and then her being taken by the military. That's what that is.
Yep.
This was unnecessary. I don't know why she couldn't just get there by herself, but
or have one plot nugget come out of this. But you look at the script of it, and it's just like, I was powerless. I don't remember anything. I couldn't do anything. I don't think it was somebody I trusted. There's nothing that comes out of this interchange. So no wonder she discards it and says, yeah, I didn't get anything on this. So thanks very much.
And he tried to touch me.
And then he tried to touch my hand.
I will say that's a no-no.
I didn't. I get today's standards. Absolutely. I'm looking at it from 95. Maybe it would have been more forgivable then. You'd go,
this guy's like,
comfort her.
She's under, I think I can start.
Offside.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Sick.
This is not irresistible.
Humphreys, no thank you.
Well, she heads back home, only to see Walter Skinner exiting her building and driving away. What was he doing here?
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, we go back to Mulder, and he's returned to the Hogan to finish the ceremony, surrounded by all the Navajo boys and girls. Well, actually, just boys. I don't think the women folk get to go into the Hogan.
No, I don't think so.
Apparently, he's got to avoid working, changing clothes, or bathing for 4 days, to which he quips it's going to cut into his social life to the amusement of everyone. The boys of the tribe give him a gift, sunflower seeds, which he was asking for during his most feverish moments. Finally, the ceremony is complete. The sand painting is erased. Mulder.
That breaks my heart, man. That is such a cool painting.
It was a lot of work.
Or not painting, but sand
it was.
Artwork.
A sand painting is how it is termed.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very beautiful.
Mulder asks Albert if the dreams he experienced were real. And Albert gives an answer which is not a great answer.
Not satisfying at all.
He's like, so I didn't go anywhere? And Albert's like, yes.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Now I'm going to get up. I'm going to erase this painting and see you later. And then they just leave Mulder there with a blankie.
You go back to White People Town.
All by himself.
Yeah. Well, we are back in Washington now, where Scully calls up Skinner, asking why he came to see her, in which he denies, and Skinner ends the call abruptly, telling her she's obviously made a mistake. Camera pulls back to see that we are not alone. There's the cigarette smoking man in there with Skinner, which explains why he couldn't talk freely. And Skinner decides, I'm gonna get a little air. And he leaves. So, hey.
That ass.
Yeah, it is definitely an exit. We get to a familiar field of stars, and the disembodied head of Fox Mulder floats and delivers a monologue. He intones that he has returned from the dead to continue with you, but that danger is close at hand. He may be too late. At which point Scully sits bolt upright in bed, waking from the dream she's just had of Mulder. Ooh, she's dreaming of Mulder. What do you shippers think of that?
I don't know what they think.
You represent the shipper majority in this conversation. You think we read anything into the dream? You know?
No. She woke up and she was moist.
Oh, yeah.
There.
She was sweating.
She was sweating in secret places.
Moving on. The next scene takes us to Boston, where we are attending the funeral of Bill Mulder. Bill apparently has many more friends than I would have imagined. And his ex-wife, Mrs. Mulder, that's all we get for her, is in attendance. Fun fact, Mike, do you know what Mrs. Mulder's first name is? I'll bet you do.
Tina.
Very good. How do you spell it?
Teena.
Oh, bonus marks. You got it all.
Got it all.
I don't know when we come to know that, but it is not in this episode.
It's not in this episode, no.
Ceremony wraps up with the priest laying it on a bit thick and underlining the fact that Fox couldn't bother to be here for the funeral of his father, I guess.
His son didn't love him.
His son had other commitments. Afterwards, Scully tells Mrs. Mulder that she thinks Fox is going to be found, that he's still alive. And oh my goodness gracious, thank you.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Exactly.
Things you don't say to a woman who thinks her son's dead. You don't want to get her hopes up, only to let them down again.
They play her as very old. And I think that actor's like 50.
I don't know, man. She's
just supposed to look like she's got a memory problem.
No, I don't think she's got a memory problem. I think she's just... Why would you say memory problem?
Well, because later on, Mox Fulder, that is his name
Mox
now.
Fulder.
He is going to interrogate his mother about who's in these pictures.
I think she's acting. Oh. I don't think she actually doesn't know. She does not want to go down this road because she knows where it leads.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, I still think that they cast very young for this role, that they have in mind for the character, that she's kind of older and frail. It doesn't appear that way to me. This whole business of Scully telling Mrs. Mulder that Fox is going to be found, that he's still alive, it's overheard by the sinister, well-manicured man who flags down Scully.
He finally gets to say something.
Hello. I see you're a friend of the family. So am I. Do you think we might find a moment to speak?
About?
A very serious matter. Please, shall we find some place away from the others? I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. You think the sun is still alive?
Who are you?
I'm a member of a kind of consortium. We represent certain global interests.
What kind of interests?
Interests that would be extremely threatened by the digital tape that you are no longer in possession of.
Threatened enough to murder?
Oh my, yes.
What do you know about Mulder?
That he is dead. Qui bono.
You're lying.
I'm not here to tell you lies.
What are you here for?
To tell you your life is in danger too.
Leave me alone.
They'll kill you one of two ways. They'll send someone, possibly two men, kill you in your home or in the garage with an unregistered weapon which will be left at the scene. Using false documents supplied by associates of mine, they'll be out of the country in less than 2 hours.
You said there were two ways.
Yes. He or she will be someone close to you, someone you trust. They'll arrange a meeting or come to your house unexpectedly. You have someplace else you might stay.
Why? Why kill me?
You want something they don't. Justice. And because they are now quite certain you don't have the computer copy of the files they're looking for.
Why are you protecting me?
I feel my colleagues are acting impulsively. Your death will draw unnecessary attention to our group.
You're not protecting me, you're protecting yourself.
Why should that surprise you? Motives are rarely unselfish.
What kind of business are you in?
We predict the future. The best way to predict the future is to invent it.
This is awesome.
It is an awesome
so
scene.
Good. This guy is absolutely sinister. John Neville just plays this role so straight and no bullshit. He's doing this out of concern for his group, the Syndicate. He's only helping her so they don't have any more undue attention, and that's dark.
Very, which is why
like this is the only reason I'm helping you. This is how you're going to die if you don't listen to what I'm telling you.
That's right. And by the way,
we
if
are
you
not
have a death
friends
tape,
by
that'd be
this.
Very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not your friend by telling you this. So let's keep that straight. But
yep,
yeah,
well,
he's very, very creepy.
After the funeral, Mrs. Mulder returns to West Tisbury. Apparently, she also lives on Martha's Vineyard, only to be greeted by the now not missing Fox Mulder. They hug. How nice. But Mulder doesn't have much time.
Mulder breaks the ice real quick.
Hey, Mom, great to see you. I'm not dead.
Mom, will you just listen to me?
I found this box down in the basement. It's got some photos and a gun. I need you to look at them. So she has to identify men in old photographs, but she's reluctant to visit the past or has no memory of any of the events, and she's very old and has no memory. But I like your interpretation that she is...
Yeah, there's no way she doesn't remember this.
Yeah. She confirms that men came to their house, but nothing more, as Mulder takes the photos as well as a gun and bullets from the very case where he found them, and he walks away. Great to see you, Mom, but I got shit to do.
That photo is fantastic.
It is a pretty good photo, yeah. They're all de-aged.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen The Office or not, but when Michael Scott is trying to get a group photo of all of his employees, but they're not cooperating. So
yeah, at
the end of the episode, while he's monologuing, they're showing him copy and paste the heads from different pictures onto this one photograph. Oh, it's so good. But
I can tell you, and as you know, I do work as a photographer, and I have done that. You take like 10 pictures of a big group. Mm-hmm. There's always one person who's blinking. There's somebody else who's like looking at their feet. So you can literally take 3 pictures and just take the best people and then form them into one. It's great.
Yeah.
Very high tech.
Hopefully it looks better than this, Andrew. I believe in your abilities.
Well, we're talking 20 years of technology that have helped us get to this point. We're back at Scully's apartment, and she gets a phone call from her sister Melissa, who's been worried about her. When Scully relates that she's been a little freaked out by the events of the day, Melissa decides to come over and to talk about it. They hang up, and then another call comes in just right away for Scully. And then the caller immediately hangs up, as if to confirm that Scully is in her apartment. What's happening?
That's that fucking dark sting from Mark Snow.
Yeah.
That is very tense. Good. Oh, yeah.
This freaks out Scully, calls Melissa back. We have this tense business of her waiting for Melissa to pick up, waiting. It's ringing, but it goes to a machine. As Scully leaves a message on her machine that Dana's going to go over to her place instead. She leaves, but she encounters Skinner outside. He has information for her and wants to go somewhere private to discuss it. After great hesitation and confirming that she has a little pocket gun in her purse, she gets in and leaves with him. And I think this is a neat moment because, I don't know about you, but I was thinking this whole time, but you're not going to meet Melissa on the way. You said you were going to meet her on the way so that you could get her out of danger, but this is going to take you away from that. So the danger to Melissa is still real. I love that is hanging in over our heads.
Oh, yeah. This whole ending sequence is extremely exciting and intense.
And of course, this is a direct callback to the well-manicured man's warning that her death will be at the hands of someone she trusts. Did you think at this point, when you saw this episode for the first time, that Skinner was going to be the assassin?
You know, it's played very well. I think it's one of those moments where you really don't want to believe it, but your part of your brain's like, fuck, is this the route they're going to go? Yeah. So it is extremely well done. So I cannot say that I had complete faith in Skinner at this point.
They certainly haven't given us enough to make us think that.
Yeah.
So the private place, it turns out, is Mulder's apartment. Scully opens the door and invites Skinner to go in first. He does, and she draws her gun on him, forcing him inside and having him sit on his hands on the couch. It is a very tense scene as she tells him he has the rest of his life to give her answers.
That's so good.
Yeah.
This is not someone who makes impulsive decisions. So
she's got nothing to lose, though. This is the best part of it, right?
Well, it's just like, think about the Dana Scully we first met and who we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
She does not make decisions lightly, right? Nope. So this is, you have to believe what she's saying to you, despite the fact she's got a gun to your head. You know, like, he should be fearing for his life right now because she doesn't do anything half-assed, right?
Yeah.
That's my point.
I think it's at this point he recognizes I maybe pushed her too far. You know, he's like, I probably should have been a little more sympathetic. Tried to make this bridge happen and not been such a jerk. I maybe miscalculated here because it doesn't like being in the disadvantaged state, and that is definitely where he is right now. So we go back to Scully's apartment, and there is a movement inside. As a man brushes by a table, we hear the door being unlocked, and someone enters. Of course, we know it's Melissa. Seconds later, there is a shot, and Melissa falls to the floor. Krychek comes out of the shadows and realizes that this is not Scully. And he and Louise Cardinal leave the scene and leave the murder weapon by her body.
Yep.
Poor Melissa.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The official introduction. Louise Cardinal, his new identity. Esteban is a full cleaner now. He is a sidekick to Krychek.
Yep. Could have got a better partner, though, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
We go back to Mulder's apartment. Scully wants to know who is pulling Skinner's strings. Skinner tries to bully Scully into dropping her guard that if she kills him, her life is over, basically, and he's not here to kill her. Rather, he came here to give her the digital tape. He's got it, but she doesn't believe him. Suddenly, we sense movement by the door of the apartment. There's someone there, and in the moment of hesitation and distraction, Skinner whips out his pistol and points it back at Scully, their guns now fixed on each other. The episode cuts to black, to be continued.
So good.
It is so good. Really sweet ending.
The whole episode is playing up to this moment, right?
Yeah.
Every tidbit of information is like, you cannot trust Skinner. And my God, when he pulls his gun on Scully, it's like, son of a bitch, what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait another week.
Well, luckily, we won't have to.
We don't have to.
For us, at least. But in 1995, you sure did.
Yeah.
Mike, tell me your final thoughts on this episode.
You know, despite the lack of dynamic between the two protagonists, this episode really manages to deliver a great middle to this three-parter. And I think people could safely argue that, in general, the middle of a trilogy, per se, is generally the weakest, I would say. Because there's no definitive end or beginning. It's just a bridge, essentially. And this one, I don't know. This one is really good. And it's just as exciting, if not more so, than Anasazi.
Well, it's a cliffhanger part 2, I think, is the reason that works. Because if they played it like, for example, how Star Wars did their trilogy, where you have an upbeat finish in the first one, you have a downbeat finish in the second one, and then you have a resolution in the third one.
Yeah.
Different feeling completely. But in this case, it's like the roller coaster just keeps on rolling is what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one succeeds in remaining very interesting and true to the core narrative of the show, despite the two agents never coming in contact with each other. They keep it so interesting, and so much is in the air. We're discovering things, we're learning things, and we're also getting more and more questions about what's happening. And to do that while your two protagonists are apart from each other and have it still be extremely interesting as a feat, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Gillian Anderson, she gets quite the opportunity here to carry the episode all by herself, and she knocks it out of the park. The writers and Chris Carter had faith in her abilities, and I would say it's for obvious reasons. She is a powerhouse in this episode.
She certainly had 2 seasons to prove it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We also get some firsts in this episode that I really like. The introduction of the Syndicate, which I mentioned earlier.
Indeed.
It, again, becomes the official group that we will repeatedly come back to for the big mythology reveals and all the happenings of the show. And then we get to see CSM reporting to people for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit in Anasazi, but not really. He is no longer the sole face of evil on the show, right? Yeah. So that dynamic in and of itself is really cool. It's a neat change, something we probably weren't completely expecting because they brought it front and center for the first time. So that was really exciting. And we see Skinner and Scully go head to head throughout the episode. And that tension from scene 1 just keeps building and building and building. And it ends with them pulling guns on each other, which is dramatic as fuck, but just super exciting. So overall, this episode is great, pushes the mythology forward. There's really not a dull moment. Maybe the down moment would be the therapy, but other than that, it just keeps rolling.
You know, and it occurs to me that the shooting of Melissa, I was to your point of the action in this episode, how it's, you know, it's not the fastest episode. The moment where she gets shot is the episode telling us people get to get killed in this episode. And that happens immediately before we have the gun showdown between Scully and Skinner. So the flag on that is they could shoot each other. This could turn into a fight. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they leave us right on that, it's very cunning.
Yeah. Expertly written and assembled, I would say.
Well, I'd say they took their time to craft this one. I'll say this also in Paperclip, in that I feel like they had kind of milestones that they wanted to reach with this show. Like they had things that they wanted to include, little plot points they needed to get to. And then the exercise became, how do we design the episode around those? I really feel like that's how this one was built, and that's how Paperclip is built, because there are some obvious points of we need to have this conflict and we need to have this conflict, and then there's this resolution, and then the information is dropped here, and that's fine. It works, but I would say it works better in this episode than it'll work in Paperclip. But we'll talk about Paperclip next, so, you know, who cares?
Absolutely.
More to the point, this episode, I think, is a solid episode. It's a great continuation from a cliffhanger, which left us all wondering about the ultimate fate of Fox Mulder. I mean, I think the solution was elegant for how he survived. You know, he finds the hidden tunnel. Maybe there could have been a little bit of setup that gives us that, but as opposed to a sort of like, oh, and he just managed to find a hidden door that, you know, nobody was aware of. Look at that. He found his way up.
Oh, he's alive.
Could have given us a little nod that was an opportunity, but maybe they didn't know at the time. It's like, yeah, guys, we got 4 months to figure out how we're going to get us out of this this little corner we painted ourselves into.
So Jim rushes into the boardroom. Guys, I got it. There was a door.
There's a secret door. Yeah, that's the one.
Of course, it's a train car. Of course there's a door. Good work.
You're hired.
You're getting a raise.
The episode takes its time to patch up Mulder and doesn't make a ton of use of him, other than as a body under a blanket of cedar thatch, but that's fine. As much of the action revolves around Scully trying to put the pieces together and evoking interesting plot points. And let's face it, we both like when we've got a driven Scully motivating the episode. It works really well. We have the introduction of the members of the Syndicate, Cigarette Smoking Man playing politics, cameos by Frohicke and Krychek. All in all, a star-studded cast and an excellent continuation of the series.
Yeah.
Mike, I have to tell you, I don't have any real issues with this episode, and there are no huge plot holes to address, so clearly this means it's really good. Except maybe.
Well, I would argue that even the episodes you do have issues with, i.e. all of them, are still generally good episodes.
Yeah, that is a fair argument to make. Perhaps.
No, but it is a refreshing take. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. That's it.
The one issue I would have is the ongoing issue of Mulder getting to and from Martha's Vineyard. The writers did not do themselves any favors by parking the Mulder family on an island off the coast of Massachusetts. They could have made it a lot easier on themselves by having them reside in Stevensville, Delaware, which is only an hour's drive from Washington, and also has lovely sea views.
Well, I'll tell you what they didn't think of. They didn't think that in 30 years, anyone would be diving so deep into this that we were calculating the distance that these agents were traveling in the certain amount of time that they're traveling. So that's, I guess, they just were not clairvoyant. They could not see the future.
Because Mulder goes from New Mexico to Boston. And that's a longer drive than Washington to Boston.
Well, we don't know how. I don't know.
Maybe he flew. He must have flown. Alien spaceship. That is how it happened.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that's the only way it happened. So, Mike, do you have anything else you'd like to add to this wonderful review of a great season opener? Look at us doing season 3 after all these months.
3. Exciting. No, I don't have anything else to say. This episode was a blast, and I'm extremely happy to be in season 3 right now. It feels like it's really moving.
It sure is.
This season, I just am excited to look forward to. Almost everything here is treasure for the show. So,
absolutely.
While we did not ask for listener comments on this episode, I'm sure...
I wasn't going to bring that up because I thought that was a huge oversight, yeah.
It was a big oversight. Boom, 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 boom.
Dear listeners, we cherish your comments when we ask for them.
We forgot.
Yeah.
So, my bad. Our bad. Whatever.
But it meant we had much more interesting conversation, I would say, rather than tear apart, the stuff that our listeners have to think.
Yeah. So, Andrew, would you like to end the episode?
I would like to end the episode. Here we are, launching into season 3. I hope that you enjoy this season as much as we do. Mike, would you like to say goodnight?
I would.
Well, wind it up.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here, and get ready for a crazy, amazing season and new shit from us. Good night. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the Syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at TINHXFilesPod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.